I'm blanking on names. I know these people. I watch their videos every day. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be doing my winter TBR. I have a lot more than this. I just can't hold it all at once. So here's a stack I'll be holding to show off my winter TBR. Alright, so first we'll be starting out with holiday books, obviously, because it's the winter holidays. The first book I'll be putting on my winter TBR is My December Darling by Lauren Asher. Again, one of my favorite authors, author for me. Just love all of her books. This story is about two doctors. Our female main character is Catalina, and our male main character is Luke. And Catalina's sister is getting married to Catalina's ex, which is weird enough by itself. And so her ex's best friend is Luke, who is going to be the best man. And so Luke moved to this small town recently. Catalina grew up in the small town, but she wanted to get away. She's been away for a while. And then she comes back for this wedding and suddenly has to be around Luke a lot because of the wedding. She has history with him, but doesn't want to be around him. Catalina has to leave at the end of the new year, so the end of the wedding, and Luke is trying to convince her to stay. And we can all tell where that's gonna go. And so I've actually already read this book. I read this at the very, very start of winter, and I loved it so much. It's a very quick read. It's a little novella. It's a very cute little winter romance. The next book that I want to add to my winter TBR is The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore, which if you heard anything about the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, you know what this book is. But before I can actually get to this one, I have to also read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, because this is the second book in the series and then the third book in the series. But the third is like the Christmassy one. Apparently this one happens in the summertime. I don't really know how I'm gonna feel about reading a summertime book in the winter. Although I guess I am in Florida, so there's no snow. It feels like summer anyways. It's like 80 degrees out. I have to read this one first before I can get to this one. Don't really know what they're about. I like going in blind, but I do know what this one is about. And a lot of people have mixed reviews on this book because it just is kind of there. Not a lot happens, I feel like. Like, yes, the characters interact, but there's not much happening in their interactions. And so I think I gave this book 3 or 4 stars, around there. So it was an enjoyable book, but there wasn't a lot going on. So we'll see how her other 2 books are. I am excited to get into these though, because I do like holiday books and completing series or continuing series, so we'll see. And then another book that I've already actually read is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ally Carter. This is, as people described, like Knives Out but cozy holiday romance, which I could see that. That's also how I'd probably describe it, where there's these 2 authors that are rivals in their industry, but they both get invited to a surprise person's house for the holidays, for Christmas. And when they get there ends up being a giant snowstorm that they get stuck in. They cannot leave her house. It actually turns out to be the female main character's favorite author. And so she's like awestruck living in this house and getting to meet her favorite author. And then the first night, the author ends up goes missing. And so now they're on the hunt to find her. And then all of a sudden, shots are fired, someone gets poisoned, and we are on the journey of finding out if someone is trying to kill her or if it's just a planned mystery that she has. And so this is a very good book. I actually really enjoyed this. It took me a little while to get into it. I feel like the beginning is very slow. Once we were like tied up in the whole mystery of it all, I was very excited to read this. And then another holiday book is going to be A Winter in New York by Josie Silver. This I've had probably since last Christmas, to be honest, because it is a book of the month book. I just never got around to reading it. I'm assuming it's placed in New York, because, you know. So for that reason, I would just like to read it. Someone coming from New York. Oh, a young chef stumbles upon a secret family recipe that might lead her to the love and life she's been looking for. When Iris decides to move to New York City to restart her life, she realizes she underestimated how big the Big Apple really is. All the nostalgic movies set in New York she'd watched with her mom while eating their special secret recipe gelato didn't quite do it justice. But Bobby, Iris's best friend, isn't about to let her hide away. He drags her to a famous autumn street fair in Little Italy. As they walk among the food stalls, a little family-run gelatarian catches her eye. Could it be the same shop that's in an old photo of her mother's? Curious, Iris returns the next day and meets the handsome Gio, who tells her that the shop is in danger of closing. His uncle, sole keeper of their family's gelato recipe, is recuperating from a stroke and can no longer remember it, so they can't make more. When Iris samples the last remaining batch, she realizes that their gelato and her gelato are one and the same. But how can she tell them she knows their secret recipe when she's not sure why Gio's uncle might have given it to her mother in the first place? Ooh, that actually sounds exciting. Iris offers her services to help recreate the flavor and soon finds herself falling for Gio and his family. But when Gio's uncle finally recovers, all the secrets Iris has been keeping threaten to ruin the new life and new love she's been building all winter long. Okay, that actually sounds really good. I'm excited to read this now. That got me interested. And then the final holiday book that I want to get to is Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake, who is the same author as Delilah Green Doesn't Care. This is actually an Afterlight exclusive book with some very nice sprayed edges on it, which I think are adorable. I think they fit the cover so well and the little shininess of it. And because it is an Afterlight exclusive, it is signed. And it has some very pretty end pages, which I love. I love seeing all these little... And the cover, I love seeing little pretty pages. Looks like it must be about musicians, which I love. Like, that's adorable. I love that so much. 5 years ago, Charlotte Donovan was ditched at the altar. Now she's doing more than okay. Sure, her mother never checks in, but she has her band, the Rosalind Quartet, and her life in New York is a dream come true. Another one about New York. As the holidays draw near, her ensemble mate, Sloane, persuades the quartet to spend Christmas with her family in Colorado for some festive peace. But when Charlotte arrives, she discovers an unexpected guest, none other than her ex-fiancé, Brighton. Okay. All Brighton Fairbrook wanted was to have the holliest, jolliest Christmas. Instead, she's stuck pretending she and Charlotte are strangers. Difficult when Sloane's mom signs them all up for festive dating events. Soon they're entrenched in horseback riding and cookie decorating, but Charlotte still won't talk to Brighton, not after what she did. One thing she can't deny is their chemistry, and slowly things start to slip through. Memories, music, and the way they used to play together. It all feels painfully familiar. But it's all in the past and nothing can melt the ice in their hearts, right? So that actually sounds really good. And I'm very excited for this one now as well. I hope I can get to this one. That sounds really good. And then switching genres, we're going to go over into romance, sports romance specifically, stuff that I would like to read in the winter. To me, winter is very much sports romance kind of season because like hockey romances in the winter, makes sense. So right here I have 5, yes, they are all hockey. 5 hockey romances that I want to read in the winter. First, I will start with Unsteady, which I am currently reading right now. And I'm eating this up. I haven't read a hockey romance in so long, probably since last winter, honestly. And these are my favorite types of books that I can just sit and read so quick and easily. And I won't get distracted. I won't get bored. Like, I love these books so much. This is like what brought me into reading, and so I love it so much. This book so far that I've read is about a male hockey player who just had a really bad accident on the ice, got a really bad concussion, and is having panic attacks and anxiety attacks because of it now anytime he tries to go back on the ice. And then our female main character is a figure skater at the same college, and she has a very poor home life and a lot of issues that are going on there. And so they're trying not to, they both, you can kind of tell in the book, they both like each other, but they're trying, I think it's more of like he falls first and she's just kind of trying to push away even though she does want it as well. And I'm just very excited to see where this goes to. Next, I will get into Body Check by Elle Kennedy. One of favorite authors for hockey romance. I think she does it probably one of the best, if not the best, for hockey romances. I just love the worlds that she can create. I don't know, like most, I don't know what any of these books are really about. I just kind of have them on my shelf until I decide. I like going in blind, so it's more of like a surprise when I get to it. So I don't really need to read the back. I feel like I'm gonna read it anyways because it's her. And then we have Collide by, I don't know how to say this, Bal Cabra. I feel bad. She is an honor student with ambitious graduate school plans, and he's a jock with only hockey on his mind. But once their worlds collide, their connection is hot enough to melt an ice rink. Okay. My kind of book. Anytime I see this book, I just love the drawing on it, and it just pulls me in so much and makes me want to read it so bad. There's no skating around their feelings. I wonder if she's... I know he is a hockey player. I wonder if she, like, figure skates or something. Oh, she wants to be a sports psychologist. As someone that went into a sports degree. Gotta love women in sports. And then next we have Pucked by Helena Hunting, which has some very nice sprayed edges. I love this specifically, the picture of them, and also just the book and hockey sticks on it. I don't know what this book is about, and when I looked about buying it, I looked up to find out what the rating for it was, to know if I wanted to buy it, or if it, like, didn't have a good rating. And the original cover comes up, and to me it looked very dark. So we'll see what this gets into. I have zero interest in legendary hockey player Alex Waters or his pretty beat-up face and six-pack abs. Having a famous pro athlete for a stepbrother means I'm aware that a lot of these guys are notorious F-boys. The only hockey games I attend are under duress. That is, until Alex starts talking books to me. We love books. Then he becomes more than just a hot body with a face to match. And soon I discovered just how good Alex is with the hockey stick in his pants. I knew it was going to get somewhere. Except Alex starts to call and text and email and send extravagant and quirky gifts. Suddenly, he's too difficult to ignore and nearly impossible not to like. The problem? Alex is a total player. And me, I don't want to be part of that game. So, I'm interested in this one as well. I just love all things hockey romance. What can I say? And then our final hockey romance for the season, for the winter, is going to be Pucking Around by Emily Rath. I've heard a lot of things about this. I've wanted to read it for a while, and I finally just said, you know what? I'm gonna go buy it. So I have it. It's a very thick book. It's big. So I hope that I can get to it at some point in the winter. I'd consider winter through... We're halfway through December. I still have January, and I'd consider, like, the first half of February, maybe, to be winter. So I have a little bit of time to get through these books. I've been reading, the past 2 months, I've been reading like 6 books a month. So if I keep reading 6 books a month, I can get through maybe half of these before I get all the way through February, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what books I get through. But I just like this. I also noticed when I was taking the sticker off for it that it says Jacksonville Rays. And I would believe it would be Jacksonville, Florida. Since I'm in Florida now, brings my interest. Piques my interest. Which reminds me, actually, Unsteady, the one I'm reading right now, I freaked out earlier today because in one of the parts of the books, it references Tampa Bay Lightning. And I go, oh wait, I live in Tampa. That is our hockey team, our pro hockey team here is Tampa Bay Lightning. And so I just thought it was interesting that I just moved here and it's in a book that I'm reading right now. I think it's just, like, what are the chances? I think it's so cool. And then that is it for sports romance or hockey romances, because they're all hockey. Now we'll get into fantasy books that I want to read for this winter. I'm going to start with Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I feel like everybody knows about this book, or somewhat about it. I just recently, a couple months ago, read the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and I loved that so much. I read the first book, like, probably a year ago, and was like, eh. And I was like, you know what? I want to finish the series. So I read books 2 and 3 in that, and was like, love this so much. And so this is a series that comes before, which I just kind of skipped over, because that had all the hype. But so now I want to go back and actually read this series as well, to know what the whole world is about. I'm very excited for this one. Then I want to read Belladonna by Adeline Grace I have heard many, many, many good things about this book. I just haven't gotten around to reading it. Again, I have a signed copy of Wisteria. That I got at my local Barnes & Noble. So, I love having signed books. I love that I can buy a signed book for regular price and not like have to pay extra because it's signed. But this is the first book in that series. All I really know is that it's about, well, because belladonna is a type of poison. It's really all I know. I've heard it has to do with poison. So we'll see. A lot of these fantasy books that I want to read, I don't know much about or anything about. I've just heard people say they like it and recommend them. And so here I am, adding them to my TBR when I know nothing about them. I also bought physical copies of them already. So if I bought the physical copy, I have to get to it at some point. So might as well add it to the TBR, you know? So my next book is going to be Skyward by, which is my first Brando Sando, as I've heard people reference, Brando Sando book, which I'm very excited for, actually. A lot of people have said, like, talked great things about him, and so I'm excited to see what all the hype is about and read a book by him. I think this is one of his newer books, and I've heard that, like, all of his books are in the same world and have, like, little sprinkles here and there, so I'm excited to read this and see what this one is about. It look from the cover, it looks really good. And then we get into The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This, I blew up a while ago. I just never got around to reading it because I wasn't really, I was into fantasy. I just didn't want to read fantasy at the time when it came out, or I was reading other fantasy books. So I never got around to this one, but I'm really excited. I really want to read this one. I know Sarah talked about this and said how amazing this book was, so I really want to read this one. I'm excited for it. And then our final fantasy book that I want to get to is Throne of the Fallen. And it has the nice purple sprayed edges. And the reason I bought this book, I wasn't sure if I was going to read it at first. The reason I bought it was because Sarah's name is in it. And I was like, I just want a book that has her name in it. Because I love watching her so much. So that's what I bought it for originally. Like, I was at the bookstore, saw it, was like, no, I don't need it. I don't think I'm going to read it right now. I'll get it when I want to. And then I went home that day and I was sitting in bed and I was like, but it has her name in it. It has Sarah's name in it. I want to go get it. So I went back the next day and I bought it. Here I am with this book in my hands and Sarah's name in it. And hopefully I'll get to it. So we'll see. And then this is not a fantasy book. This is just kind of like the others category. I guess it'd be mystery kind of category. The last books that I want to get to, possibly for the winter, this one is more of a far stretch, I feel like. But it would be the Inheritance Game series, because I know she's making more books currently. And I hate seeing books coming out and people raving about them. And I don't have them, like I haven't caught up in the series to be able to read those books and also have all the hype with it. So I want to like read the previous, like read the series so I can catch up and see what everyone's talking about with the newer books. I read the first one over a year ago at this point, but it was so long ago I forget what happened in it. So I would want to reread that first book again. And I know I'm going to be getting some gift cards for Christmas for Barnes & Noble, most likely, and maybe some other ones. So I'm planning on buying the box set so I can have the whole series for it. And then I can put it down with the Natural series that I have down here by the same author. And that is my winter TBR. It's a lot of books. I know I won't get to all of them. Hopefully I'll get to half of them. Maybe. We'll see. But like, subscribe, comment, all those... everyone says all those fun YouTube things. I guess those fun YouTube things. If you could just do all those, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!